say something significant.
Oh. All right, I might not be able to hear the people way in the back, but maybe. Luke,
Can you hear her? Okay.
Yes.
all right.
I've got a great voice.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this off.
You can pass these around.
I can do that. This might yell at me. No, it's not saying anything. Okay.
I can pass.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to just tell you briefly about the handout that I think you all may have gotten already. There's more in the back there. And you've gotten a link mailed to you. This was from the SAIL, which is our local network that works very hard to help people with disabilities live independently. And they've done a lot of good things, including sending this to me when I asked. There are many, 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 many versions of etiquette for disability language, so to speak. And basically, this particular handout, I really like it because it goes into all of the reasons why we do things. And I like the way it starts out. Our words affect our thoughts affect our beliefs affect our feelings affect our behavior, and our behavior affects the world. It's about each one of us taking responsibility, basically, for how we interact with other human beings. Wouldn't that be nice these days? Okay, I gotta stay non-political. So if you start out thinking about a disability, and it's explained in here, it's first and foremost a medical diagnosis. It is. Okay, that's just basically a basic definition of a disability. So how would you like to be defined by, as it says, psoriasis, your gynecological problem? And really it does say this in here. It really does say this in here. The warts on your behind. Those, medical diagnoses. So basically when you think of human beings and the different kinds of medical problems that they have, disabilities are basically just one of those. And, why should you call someone by that as who they are? It's not who they are, which leads us to people first. People first. People have names. Refer to them as their people. I was very, very fortunate in my career to deal with a lot of people with a lot of different medical conditions, and became very much aware of how common it is, and how you are one car accident away or one illness or something from basically being categorized as disabled. So think about, how would you like to be addressed? How would you like to be treated? How would you like to spend so much time, trying to get people to see you as a human being, rather than, the person that is quadriplegic or any, fill in the blank. Why not George or Joe or Mary or Bob and Dorothy? I got to meet Bob and Dorothy in our fitness program because they had come looking for certain things that would help them be successful. And they can tell you why they chose us. And don't tell them, I paid you or anything.
It wasn't enough.
That was enough. But it really was a privilege to get to know these two, because they are very good friends of mine now, and I am always delighted when I can do something that helps with their daily life, and it's never much, it's really so easy most of the time. But there's another quote on this thing that I really like, and it again brings to light why we're concerned with our terminology. It came from Mark Twain, for all people. The difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and the lightning bug. So, I was just going to point out a couple things that I've heard so many times, particularly in the media, and that is confined to a wheelchair or wheelchair bound. I got news for you. A wheelchair is liberating. A wheelchair allows people to do things. The wheelchair is one of the coolest things ever. And to think about it and to just realize, don't say that about someone, that they're bound to something or confined to something. And the other one, and this still hasn't gone away, but the word crippled, that is such an awful word. You know, I have seen so many more people be so much more of what the value they add to this world, and to stick something like crippled on them is just an insult. It's an absolute insult, which brings me to the bigger picture of, and I know this goes into all sorts of realms, but when you think about when something is very offensive to someone, do it anymore. And we become aware politically, we become aware in, you know, local mascots and things, you know, but if something is offensive to someone, why would you want to use that term? Why would you want to use that term? So it's something to think about. What would you like to be treated like? What would you like, what would you like to be called? Or how about by your name? And on that note, I am going to introduce you to my good friends, Bob and Dorothy Dickey. And yes, they are blind, and they have a little story to tell, each of them for you. And let me know if you can't hear, and I'll stick a microphone in.
She'll leave that holder.
They're all yours.
Okay. First, Barb wanted us to tell a little bit about ourselves, because our stories are very different. I was born in Ishpeming, at the hospital in Ishpeming. I was premature. I weighed 2 pounds, 3 ounces. And then, you know, you lose weight, so then I was 1 pound and 15 ounces. And at that time, in 1952, nobody knew, I mean, like in the whole nation, don't give babies 100% oxygen. That's the only thing they knew to get you to breathe, although I was without oxygen for a while and I still breathe. Don't ask me how. I don't know. But if you give children 100% oxygen, it kills the optic nerves behind your eyes. And the longer you're in an incubator exposed to that, then it does other things. I was very fortunate. Well, that wasn't a nice word when I'm going to tell you that there was a child in the incubator when I was born, so they couldn't put me there. They didn't think I'd ever make it to Marquette without, you know, dying. So they waited. They put me in a basket with bright lights over me. My grandmother, for years and years, thought that's why I couldn't see, because they didn't cover my eyes. She yelled at all the doctors. She was a nurse. She yelled at all the doctors about that. She said, funny thing, they said no, but they covered every kid's eyes after that. So, but it was 100% oxygen, and it kills the optic nerves behind your eyes, which is the nerves that go from your brain to your eyes. So then you can't see and they can't operate on it. And now I have prosthesis, long story, but my eyes are plastic now, and you can't tell, and I get into trouble for that. Because, well, Bob had a heart attack a couple of weeks ago. I called the ambulance. Wow. They said, can you drive? And they were at our house by that time. They couldn't see me. I said, you don't want me to drive? Unless you want 2 ambulances. But anyway, so I was sent to the School for the Blind, which used to be in Lansing. There is no School for the Blind in Michigan now. When I was almost 5. So it was the middle of the year. And they weren't supposed to do that, but the people at the school said, she's going to be so far away from home, you're going to give her a half a year to just play from January to June. And then she won't be 6 till the next January, so she can start kindergarten when she's 5. We'll just play for half a year. Half a year ended. They said to my parents, sorry, she's going in the 1st grade because she'd be bored out of her mind. But consequently, because I was so far, I came home Christmas, Easter, summer. From the time I was almost 5 till I graduated when I was 17. It was hard, but home was hard. So it gave me the opportunity to learn. I would have never learned Braille up here, like really, where, how. Independent living skills. By the time we were in 9th grade, we were doing our own laundry. That wouldn't have happened. Well, I guess it might have happened at my house, because I learned to put stuff through the ringer when I was And I asked my sister, why did you let me do that? And she said, I was sick of doing it, so. Except one day my grandmother came over and caught me doing it. She thought I was gonna get my fingers in there. She was not happy. So anyway, graduated from high school. I went to Northern for a year. That was really hard. I think the hardest thing about it was everything was in Braille at the School for the Blind. Nothing was in Braille when you got here. Nothing. And there was no student, whatever they call it. There was nobody to help you. There was a place in New York called Recordings for the Blind and Dyslexic, I think they keep changing their name. But they put textbooks on 7-inch reels of tape. Ever studied for an exam off a 7-inch reel of tape? Almost impossible. And so it was hard. It was hard, and I was going to be a teacher. Well then, during that year I thought, wait a minute, I don't want to be an English teacher. I want to be a special ed teacher. So I got accepted to Michigan State. And then I started paying attention to other blind people that I knew who had teaching degrees, but nobody would hire them. Or they would get as far as to do their student teaching, and then they say, you can't do that. I think, okay, then I better think about this really hard, because I got to do something that I can earn a living. And, and then you get, 70% of blind people are unemployed. I'm thinking, it ain't gonna be me. Because I had 2 big brothers that never said you can't. I tell my brother that now. I said, I thought you were perfect. He said, yeah, you're wrong, I still am. But they taught me so much, it was incredible. And my sister, she taught me the scary stuff. You wanna know how to shave your legs? Okay. Wait. The only razor we have in the house is Dad's double-edged razor. It was interesting. But, so then I took a class from the Hadley School for the Blind, which is a correspondence school in Illinois, and it's totally free. And everything was in Braille at that point. And so I took a class in medical transcription. And I thought, this is cool. Maybe I'll do this. So then, after I got done with those classes, the School for the Blind in Lansing was offering graduate classes to students who had graduated. You couldn't live on the campus, but you could take a class. So I thought, I'll go do that. So I did for a year, and then I got hired at a hospital in Lansing and worked there for 5 years, and then I worked from home for 3 years after I had my daughter. And so then I babysat for the county in Lansing, and then I moved with my 6-year-old to start over. I'd had enough of a really bad marriage, and I said I could do it better myself. So I moved back home, and I worked for 28 years for the Library for the Blind here in Marquette. And at the same time, I was a foster parent for infants. That was an interesting thing to get licensed for. One lady said, wait a second, you can't do that. You're single. Yeah. And you're blind. I might have said, gosh, is that the problem? And I said, okay, yeah. She said, well, I don't understand. What are you going to do at night in an emergency? I said, I'm not quite sure what you're asking me. Because I don't see any differently in the day than I do. I said, but if it's a real emergency, I'm going to call an ambulance, wouldn't you? I thought, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
And then I said, I have my own daughter. Did you think she changed your own diapers? She said, oh, but you were married. And by that time I'd had it, and I said, he was a drug addict and an alcoholic. You want to know how much help he was? So, I was licensed to be a foster parent. I took in infants when they were newborns, and I kept them until they were adopted. And I did that for like 7 years, but then they changed all those rules, so they weren't closed adoptions anymore. So that babies went to prospective adoptive parents right away. The biological mother still had so much, I don't remember, I can't remember how long she had to change her mind. Even though, you know, the adoptive parents had them, but it made it so that the baby had one less home to be in. And so, and then Bob and I have been married for 27 years. And that's really my life and what I've done. And my daughter is married with 6 kids. She lives in Utah. And she, obviously since a lot of people ask me, can she see? Oh yeah, because my, you know, it wasn't anything to do with heredity or anything. And it's kind of amazing how your kids learn more than you think they learn. I remember taking her to a park one day. She was probably 3rd grade. And I had my white cane. And we went to this park and she played on the stop, and then we walked back home and she said, Mom, there were a lot of kids at that park today, and some of them stared at us. I said, did it bug you? And she said, no, I guess we just have to educate them. So, okay, I took way too much time.
Yeah, we'll get to the good stuff. So, I'm a different animal. I was born and raised in Ohio. So, when I was born, I was legally blind. I could see well enough to ride a bike. I couldn't read the signs, but I could see where to turn. If I knew on what street to turn on, and I knew my colors. And I was a boy. Now, I'm telling you this because in school I did not, didn't read much. I did it.
That's why all this stuff's in front of me.
I did enough to get by. So, I got by. And so, I was married to my first wife, and she had something called retinoblastoma, which is a cancer of the eye, and spreads through other parts of the body. And we had a son in both our lives, so I was a caretaker for both of them. And then, through a mutual friend, me and Dorothy met
Yeah, I was gonna let you
in
know that part,
1992.
sure.
And so my wife, after Dorothy spent about, 5 or 6 hours at my house. One of the things I did, there was a candy store there. I went down and got these chocolate covered graham crackers, which every year we have to get those. Man.
That's
But anyway,
education.
so my wife said, when I die, you need to look her up. I said, we're not having this conversation. Not now. Way too late. But eventually it happened. So we got together.
Well, not for a year and a half.
Oh no,
It wasn't like I went, hey.
it was more than that. It was almost 4.
Well, before we got
Yeah.
married.
But anyway, so I had an adopted son, and he was one of these children who was, well,
Listen, he was my challenge.
yeah, he was a challenge for everybody. But he was labeled borderline personality disorder, and there's no fix for that. Believe me.
They adopted him, so there was lots of stuff they didn't
He
know.
was 3 days old. First 2 years, he was the best baby ever. When he got about 2 years old, things started going off the rails. And he just can't do anything about it. To this day, we don't know where he is. But, as I say, since I can see some, our world is a little bit different. I was very active in sports, and one of the things I enjoyed doing is helping other people. I learned really if you could help people less talented than you, or just with a strict discipline, it was a good thing to do. And so we both sort of got those traits in our lives. Our families were both very dysfunctional, to say the least.
To say the least.
I mean, nobody in my family ever said I love you. My first wife told me that when I was dating her in high school. That's the first person to ever do that. First person ever hugged me that I remember. So, it was kind of crazy. You'd think I'd be pretty wild. No, I wasn't.
You were in high school, I didn't have anything to do
No.
with it, that's why we
No.
were
Those are rumors.
separate schools.
Those are rumors. So, when I dream like I can see. When I first lost my sight, I don't know, about 4 years old. For 10 years, that drove me crazy. I wake up, oh, I can see. Not so much, no. But I got used to it. And luckily, I learned how to travel with a cane, so when I lost my sight, I wasn't helpless. So I was okay that way. We try to be independent, do whatever we can. We take turns doing different chores around the house. And,
When Bob was in the hospital last week, somebody said, well, who comes in to help you? And I said, what?
nobody.
She said, no, you said you have people. I said, I have friends. I don't know.
So, September 10th, we went out to Utah to see our daughter and grandkids. And we both got sick out there and we thought, we're so tired. And usually the altitude, they kicks my butt anyway. Between those two, I thought, oh. We come home on the 16th. Great. Come about 9:30 at night from Chicago. Got to our house, and we turned the air on because it was so hot. In fact, I was still tired. But about 11:30, we went to bed, felt okay. 2 o'clock in the morning, woke up, I've heard about these symptoms. Tightness in the chest, burning, pressure. Okay. So I went down, turned a couple lights on, I locked the door. And I woke up and said, you gotta call 911. Took a while to wake her up, but. So they came, and away we went. And, but I feel better now, I'm doing good. And, you know, we could have been really angry, upset, but we were just so grateful it happened when it happened. If it would happen in Chicago, on a plane and around people who don't speak the language, it would have been a mess. It was really bad. So.
We learned a long time ago that you have to have a sense of humor. And we didn't, well, I'm sure the League of Women Voters maybe ought to know my voting experience.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was just when they had accessible machines, right, for you to vote. I was kind of excited. Hey, I'm gonna get to do this. So went in, and this lady came out, and she showed me where to go, and she said, well, I don't know how to do this. She'll just have to push these buttons and figure this out. Well, I couldn't figure it out, and she just stood there and said, I don't know how to help you, and I got one of these right now. And honestly, I was getting really flustered. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna have somebody help me go in the booth and vote. The main thing is that I vote. I don't have to learn how to use this machine. And so after about 20 minutes, she said, I have this thing in my hand, but I don't know what to do with it. These papers. I said, wait a minute. Are you telling me that you're holding Braille papers in your hand? Yeah. Oh, man, those are for me. She said, you know how to read this? I thought, oh, okay, I can't deal with it.
I was so upset, I decided not to vote there. I was
You didn't vote
I was
at
not.
Oh, shame on you.
I was ready to do that.
Braille takes up lots of room. I'm going to show you how much. This is the Medicare and U-book, because Bob didn't ask the government to send him a Braille copy.
Oh,
I
smart.
did. And I did. That's all of this. 4 volumes is this is the same thing as this. All of it, okay?
But there aren't any pictures in this.
Oh, there are pictures in here? Oh,
So when you read Braille, you gotta use your hands as well as your mind. So, like, more energy.
I happened to love to read when I was a kid. I only got sent to the principal's office once in all the while I was at the school. It was because I cheated. I was in 4th grade, and there was a kid that came to our school who had, well, there was lots of those kids, but this girl was just learning Braille because she couldn't read the print anymore. And then she had to keep up with us in school, and I felt so bad for her. I did her homework a couple of times. I had more. Well, my teacher caught it, and she sent me to the principal's office in the middle of the Valentine's party. So I went to the principal's office, and that woman knew me well. She said, this is cheating. And if you do it again, I'm going to take your library privileges away. You know what? I was in the middle of the Little House series, and I was not going to let that happen. So this happens to be 1/3 of September's Reader's Digest. It comes in 3 parts, and they send Braille through the mail free. So you cannot put advertisements in it. So it's without the advertisement. And I always say without coupons, that's not fair. So I'm gonna read a little bit. If you pay attention, you'll notice that my right hand's gonna go all the way across the page. My left hand's gonna go part way and go to the next line, because these lines are close together. I don't know, we can pass something around. I looked at some of this morning and I kind of thought, oh, that'd be funny. This is things that college freshmen ask their parents after they left home. These kids may need more than 4 years. What's grandma's actual name? Can I use the bathroom on a plane? How often is annual? Do we live above or below sea level? How do I know when water is boiling? Pork chops are part of a chicken, right? Which one makes noise, lightning or thunder? Do we have a billing address? Do I have Medicare? What time is noon? I thought that was pretty funny. I read Reader's Digest pretty much from cover to cover. Oh, and I get it from the library for the lunch, and I don't have to pay. I don't know how that works, but we get some magazines. I get health letters from Harvard and Mayo Clinic and Berkeley, whatever that is. And I get there's other magazines that you can get free. And it's things. I like to read, even though it takes up space. I was trying a new hairstylist. Once I sat down and launched into how I wanted my hair cut. Leave the top long. Don't trim the back too short. Be quiet, the stylist said, playfully tapping me on the top of my head with her comb. There are only 2 or 3 haircuts out there, and you're getting one of them. As I placed groceries into the bag, a customer asked, "Will it all fit?" "Yes," I replied. "It's a little heavy and a little awkward, but it'll all fit." She sighed. Story of my life. A little heavy, a little awkward. So I like to read, and so I practiced a lot when I was a kid. And so I can probably read maybe as fast as you. Right?
I want to say one thing here. There are 3 ways to blind people to travel. One is has somebody really young, or when being in communities, the way King, where you see guide dogs. And the thing that being King or guide dog, there's probably no right or wrong way, it's just a matter of choice. And we love dogs, but not enough to have a guide dog.
I had a guide dog from the time I was 19 till I was 22. But I lived in Lansing, and I knew the streets, and I didn't have hearing aids then.
And up here, if you look hard.
Another challenge I don't like. To write Braille, there's a machine here with 6 keys. That's the easy way to do it. Because you can, if a Braille consists of 6 dots, and it's just the position of all those dots that make up the letters and the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you memorize. A is dot 1, B is 1 and 2, C is 1 and 4, D is 1, 4, 5. Plus there's shorthands, a dot 5 before tons of letters in the alphabet.
That killed my spelling. That killed my spelling.
Well, yeah, when you had a spelling test when you were a little kid, you wrote a word, you had to write it as it is written in Braille, and then you had to write it like you would type it. Because we learned to type when we were 9. Well, I was 9. Okay.
You were also a medical transcriptionist, weren't you?
Yes, yeah, for 5 years. 5 years full time, and then I worked from home after I had for like 3 years. So yeah, and that was before computers, so you learn to be fast and accurate. And I learned to use that little correction tape stuff, but not the liquid stuff. I couldn't figure that out. I couldn't erase that. But then we got IBM Selectric 3s that had a little button that every time you push this little button, it would erase the letter. Oh yeah, that was good.
So you were taking notes while the meeting was going on?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I carry in my purse all the time. This is a slate, and this represents the 6 dots right here. So you can make any letter or any number in those 6 dots. And like, this is 4 lines. The trick to this is, I push the dots down through here, so they come out on this side of the paper. So in order to read from left to right, I have to write from right to left. It's not like spelling the words backwards. How did my daughter figure out and tell me? She said, tell people it is like you're looking in the mirror and you write your name so it looks right in the mirror. So, but I learned to do this when I was 7.
You and I learned that.
What?
You and I learned a slate.
I have a slate?
No, you and I learned how to do a slate. So, it's easy.
Well, nobody said, this is gonna be hard. They said, you are big and you are gonna get homework and you're not allowed to carry a braille writer to the dormitory. So you get to learn to write on a slate. So it's, it's all a matter of attitude. Well, if you don't remember anything I say tonight, and it was really boring and you'd rather go to sleep, remember this. I believe 10% of your life is what happens to you. I couldn't stop being blind. I couldn't control the fact that my parents were alcoholics, but they didn't care what I did, so they didn't overprotect me. But 90% of your life is what you do with it. And you always have a choice of what your day is going to be, how you're going to deal with things, what you're going to do. I remember talking to a group of college kids. Barb was there. This kid went, wait a minute, you mean if I get up in the morning and I'm really a grouch, I don't have to be grumpy all day? I think she was not too. And he was like, really? He couldn't believe it. I said, yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice. Not that you're not sad sometimes, and not that something doesn't make you angry, but you don't need to let it control you. And like I said, I had 2 brothers and a sister that never said, you can't. I lost one of my brothers just when COVID started. Not from COVID, that would have done it, but he had pulmonary fibrosis. So I have a brother that's 11 years older than me. I was telling him he lived a whole life before me. So I always think of a question. He lives in Republic, but every time I see him, I think of a question that he knows the answer to that I don't.
She was the youngest, I was the oldest. And
Yeah,
I
that was
took-
interesting.
And I took advantage.
Yeah, well, when you and I got married, Dick said congratulations. Ken said, have fun, she's a spoiled brat.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah.
Dorothy's a wonderful cook, Bob's a
She's
wonderful
very-
leader.
I taste, I'm a taster, oh yeah, it works.
You taught your daughter to read.
I did. And then when she
You all
went to
great kids.
kindergarten, I said to her teacher, she can read, can you test her? And she went, sure. And I think she thought, no way, you didn't teach this child to read. But I did. And finally, when I asked her enough times, she did whatever test they do. She called me and she said, I want to know, could she go in the 1st grade in the afternoon and read with the top group of that class?
Wow.
What I didn't know is that my little girl hated it. She loved to read, but she was shy. She didn't want to be with those big kids. I was trying to be helpful. I thought if I can teach her how to read, everything will come easier. It'll be better.
How did you teach her to read when you couldn't see?
We have books like that, maybe. That's those in them, and there's that little board
Yeah.
There's lots of books that you can buy with print and braille and pictures. There weren't, when my daughter was little, there weren't all of these books. But I could borrow books from the library in Lansing that had print, braille, and pictures, and we called them for special books. And we would read together, and I would have her describe the pictures. Is there a puppy up there? Where is it? You know, or I would say, let's try this. Think of a fruit that starts with a B. And if you can think of the whole fruit, you can type that on my typewriter. I would try to think of all kinds of ways to teach her. I memorized all the shapes of those plastic magnetic letters that you could buy with the and I memorized all the shapes of them because it has nothing to do with braille. And then she had little cards, like if you wanted to write room, then you found the R and the O, and there was holes in those cards for the thing. Colors were harder than letters to teach her.
Yeah.
It was really funny because she'd pick up a crayon and go, "Hey, Mama, what's BLUE?" That was the first time I understood that the paper on the crayon said the color. I didn't even know that. So I did teach her to read, and I remember we were camping in the summer with my sister and her husband and the kids, and she had to go to the bathroom. I said, "Come on, let's go." And we were almost to the door of the bathroom. She said, "Mama, wait a minute, there's a sign." And so she could spell it. I said, "Oh, it's closed for cleaning, we can't go in." Because if she didn't know the word, she just spelled it.
Cool.
She was like 4 then. We have, well, Braille takes tons of space, so I'm just going to show you this briefly. The library now has come up with well, not the library, Humanware has made this thing. I tried to describe this to my brother, and I didn't think he was going to get it. He said, "Oh, I'll write a Braille Kindle," which is basically what this is. You put a little cartridge in here. Well, it's in. This is so you can listen to books instead of tapes. This cartridge happens to have 20 books on it. Really, that's just a thumb drive shoved into this plastic. And so this machine is loaned to you from the library. You can skip a chapter, you can skip a book, you can go backwards, you can look at
That's how I read.
It is how you read. I listen to books a lot now more than I did as a kid. I never did as a kid because we weren't even allowed to. We had to learn Braille. But now, you know, if I'm doing the laundry, if I'm knitting, if I'm baking something, and I know the recipe in my head, if I'm whatever, I listen to books a lot more than I did as a kid. But they put Braille books on those kind of cartridges from the library, and you plug it in there, and it goes right in here. And this can hold, I don't know, there's probably 30 books in here, and it can hold more than that. And you just turn it on, and it comes. It was hard, I had to figure out how to use it. It wasn't easy to figure that out. Neither is my iPhone easy to figure out. A screen, a flat screen. First when I started learning, nobody said it so it wouldn't move. So I knew, okay, wait a minute, messages.
Your icons move around.
They're down here, and it would all move, and I think, I knew it was there, wait a minute. He said, "Mom, they should have made it so it wouldn't do that."
Bob really loves the iPhone.
Yeah, right. So I can't even use it, only recognize my voice.
Well, I think it really would.
That's okay.
See, you could look at
That's
that.
it.
I have learned that Siri's pretty good. You can ask her something, you can tell her to do something, and she'll do the text for you. Otherwise, like if you wanna call somebody, the phone is like, oh, wait a minute. No, it was the wrong number. What do I give to that? It's not easy. And then I had a lady from Services for the Blind come over to help me, and she said, "I don't really know
said like, what in the world?
So then she was yelling at me, I'm thinking, I'm not doing anything like this. Oh, I'll figure it out myself. But yeah, this just has books and you read like this. And first I thought, there's no way, there's only 20 characters for one line. And I thought, that's slower than molasses. But it's only as slow as my thumb hits this thing. It doesn't have to be slow.
There are some things you like or don't like talking watches.
I'd rather have a Braille watch, because all the talking watches I've seen, when you push a button to tell it what time, it goes ding! Oh, so I made sure.
Somebody's bored.
And so I'd rather have a Braille watch. Let's see, I have an old one that's broken that I hate for just this. We do have talking clocks, we have talking scales.
I never hear those.
I was waiting for that. He tells every group that. I love it. Thank you. Yeah.
Talking about
We have a talking indoor-outdoor thermometer.
We just ordered a talking blood pressure cup.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's one of those things that's half right. I mean, okay, we ordered a talking blood pressure cup, and I discovered I can't use it because, well, I can if somebody sets it up. But the one button that will talk to you is the one that will take your blood pressure. But there's 3 other buttons that won't talk if you press them. So I have no idea what we're supposed to do to set it up. Which is frustrating. Sometimes they say, oh, this talks, this will work. No, it doesn't really talk. When I want to label the top of a can, this is a magnetic that says, and I've learned to do other things. Sometimes I like to buy those salads that are pre-made, right? So I'm going with a friend and I say, tell me the date. And I keep a couple rubber bands in my purse. So fine, the one I need to eat first, we put a rubber band around the whole thing and tell the clerk at the checkout, yeah, we know it's there, it's supposed to be there. Or if I buy 2 or 3 things that are in cans, I might be, until I get home, I might rip the label on the bees, or, yeah, I gotta figure out what it is. I can't use the timer on my stove, because it's just a screen. So this is a Braille timer, to time what I bake, or what I want to eat. We have lots of clocks that talk. Our microwave, I used to have a talking one until it died, but it lasted 16 years, so I can't really complain. But now, if you want a talking one, you gotta pay $300. So I thought, no, I'm not playing that game. So then, a friend of mine and I went to, where did we go? Walmart, and we found one, and I just labeled it with little dot things. It's hard to find accessible stuff now. It's getting harder and harder. My washer and dryer has knobs and not a big screen, but I can't use the one of my daughter's. It's all a screen. These little things are sticky on the other side, so you just stick it somewhere. So, like, I have the timer labeled on my microwave and I have a talking calculator.
Got the bill identifier?
I'm sorry?
The bill identifier?
Oh, yeah, it's in my
Bill
purse.
identifier?
Yes, it's in my purse.
That's,
Of course.
that's really cool because we fold our money differently.
I'm right.
I'm correct.
It doesn't really matter how you do it, just so you know how you do it. And I'll take a 10 and fold it once, and he folds it twice. And so if I'm going to give him money, I say, holding it for you.
I was taught that way.
I don't remember how I might have had to be. This is a money identifier. I paid $115 for this, and then the treasury, the whole treasury gave everybody who was a patron of the Library for the Blind one of these for everybody. But it's real soft, so you gotta listen.
Very soft.
But it works.
does.
And usually, if I go to a bank and cash a check, then I say, give it back to me in, whatever. But in the store, they don't, when I was a little kid, they counted back money. They don't do that anymore, they just give it to you.
They don't know. It's true.
Maybe that's true.
They don't.
Maybe that's true. So, it's very helpful to have that. And, well, there's an app on your iPhone that can do that too, but it's a lot quicker to just do this. So this, I always carry this in my purse.
So Bob and Dorothy are very good, and I tell you, college kids ask them everything. But if you have
Ask me
questions,
anything.
they're willing to answer anything you want. So just speak loudly.
Anything. It doesn't
So-
matter, believe me, we've had
Are you able
everything
to
asked
see,
of us, even.
Okay, we have a question.
Yeah.
Are you able to see shadows or anything, or do you see movement of any kind? I have two questions, but.
Did you see shadows or movement of any kind?
No. When I was, until I was like a senior in high school, I could see lights, because I can remember kneeling in the back of a car at night when they didn't have to have seatbelts, and looking out the back window, and I could see that there was lights. It didn't help me do anything, I didn't see shadows, I did nothing.
Of course, I used to, so, maybe 10 years ago. Now I see nothing but, yeah.
I have one more question.
But you could see lights when
Yeah.
we got married.
One of the things that I found, interesting is that Bob, because he had vision earlier in life, has, memories of colors, memories of
He'll
shapes,
ask you.
memories of what things look like, whereas Dorothy has had no images whatsoever.
I'm gonna get up to heaven and go, that's a tree. Oh!
And that is one of the coolest things about her, is she loves to experience, okay, that's what a tree is like, that's what, and in our adult fitness program, they would challenge our students in describing exercises or finding ways to, put your arms around a ball to get the idea of how you put your arms, and oh, by the way, that's a ball, and this lady would just experience everything. We'd take her up to the bulletin board and we'd feel everything on the bulletin board. But Bob has memories to rely on.
And he's still, yeah,
We have
he's
another
still.
question from the same lady.
So, I know you said you dream, do you ever have dreams or nightmares, and
Dreams or nightmares?
Oh, yeah.
I dream, but I don't see in my dreams, because I don't, because if you don't, you can't dream what you don't.
so do you hear things?
Since I've never seen that, I don't see in my dreams either, but it's just the normal thing to me, but he does, he sees
I do.
it.
But we have dreams, nightmares, like that.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Dorothy or Bob, do you feel that you use sound or sound pressure or waves in a way that maybe we don't to locate
That's a
things?
good question. And that myth is out there that blind people hear better. Normally they don't. Both of them has hearing aids, so that's really a bad thing, but, you learn to depend on your hearing more, but it's not really any different.
You
I
can
need-
tell, maybe this is what you mean, you can tell when you walk up to something that there's.
Oh, yeah, you'll hear it.
That's what I
But
said.
what
You'll
is
hear it.
that called? There is a word for that,
Yeah, you're right.
but
Like you hear a
I can't
wall
always do that now.
or something like that, or,
Where you know when you're close to something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Close
yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I remember going for walks with my friend Virginia, or even Nikki when she was little, and I'd say, Nick, is there a fence over there?
I did an experiment
Yeah.
once I put some headphones on and tried that. And my body could actually sense something behind me.
Oh,
I'm
really?
I'm
With
surprised
your
at that.
headphones?
Yeah.
Huh, I never tried that. Oh, okay.
Now,
I think you learn to use your ears more, because you have to, but it's not like this magic, you can't see, so your other senses are better. That's not true.
So years ago, somebody showed me a book that listed all the different reasons of blindness. And it talked about how their personalities were. And it's really interesting. But different blindnesses can perceive a room. Like, I can walk into a room pretty much tell you how it's laid out. Or if I was in a room to a house, I can figure out how to arrange it before I enter it. A lot of blind people can't do that, but it's difficult.
We have another question over there, and then we.
I was wondering, this is kind of a question for Dorothy, but when you think, do you think, like, is there a voice in your head?
Are you like talking in your head when you're thinking about this?
No,
I have lots
But-
of voices in my head.
but because I was a medical transcriptionist, words pop in my head in Braille. Like, yeah. Like 2 years ago, Bob had an endarterectomy, and they said, "Oh, he's gonna have an endarterectomy." It's like, I mean, I just knew what it was. Oh, yeah,
I will tell you something else that's really weird. If you say a word to me, it comes up to a color. I don't know why.
okay, people do that.
There are
I don't get that.
There are not many people can do it, but like you say, the state of Texas, to me, it's white. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know what it's based upon, but it just does.
Bob, what athletic, you said you enjoyed athletics, what?
Okay, when I was a kid, I used to run track a lot, play baseball, I could see it. And then as I got to be an adult, they invented this thing called beat baseball. Had beavers in it. I used to do that. I used to play a lot of basketball, and I bowled a lot. There was a whole bunch of people, blind golfers, and they have their own tournament every day.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I never got to go.
But there's a couple blind
Right,
women.
yeah. That's
Not
it.
here.
And I wrestled as a kid too. Yeah.
I was a cheerleader.
At the University of Michigan, I met a friend who was blind.
Huh?
He had a dog, and we introduced ourselves, and then the next day I was coming around the corner and he said, "Hey, Janet," and I thought, did you know that was me? And I guess they use senses like of smell, like
Your
perfume
shoes,
or
maybe?
something else,
Yeah.
and I was amazed that
Oh,
they
yeah.
could recognize me on campus among all the other people.
Sometimes your shoes, sometimes if you have certain perfume and you might have noticed if it was something you wore a lot. Yeah.
I'm just amazed at what you have done. I just can't believe it. Thank you.
I've been very amazed at how, what memory, particularly Dorothy, knowing so about, but you refuse to learn to use the iPhone. I mean, come on. I took them both to Verizon to get the phone, and I mean, they're showing her the buttons once, and they were doing very good until they said, well, the red one.
Oh, we've had a lot of that. I remember, we used to get our prescriptions from Peninsula Pharmacy, and the pharmacist was really good. If they changed a generic pill and it looked different, it was a different shape, she'd call me and tell me. Well, that was very helpful. Well, okay, so one day I get my thyroid medicine. That's what I ordered. I'm not sure if that's what I got because it looked different. It was not the same shape. So I called the pharmacist. This guy answered. I said, I just wondered if you changed the generic on my thyroid medicine, and that's okay, but just tell me if you did it, because I was supposed to get thyroid medicine today. He said, I'm sure there was a note on it. I said, you know what, I'm sure there was, but I'm blind, so I'm not gonna read that note. But it was the green one. I said, I bet it was, and I bet you did it just right.
I'll tell you another challenge that we really have. Now think about this. Everything is remote. Now, all remotes are different. So, a lot of people say, okay,
Memorize that
now
button.
put your right up here, he'll take your hand, go, this stuff, whoa, stop. I need to point a reference. So, you know, you start to talk to somebody. Every remote and every radio is different. If you only use them for a while, you forget. So it's really hard.
Things are different in places, like, in restrooms, they need to put the soap
Oh.
dispenser in the
Yeah, that's what-
or, excuse me, where you flush.
Yeah.
Like, in a park, okay, maybe it's on the wall, but how much of that do you wanna?
Yeah.
Or signs, they really try. Elevator braille buttons, that's great. A room number is great. You ever see a sign that says stairwell? He said, you'd be at the bottom of the stairs, Mom, before you get. Some of it makes no sense. Or talking ATMs in a drive-up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or, no, a braille ones. And now they've kind of stopped that, and they put talking ones. That's even scarier. You don't know if somebody's gonna stand behind you and watch everything. Like, no, that doesn't work.
Interesting.
But it, like, sometimes they think of things and they do it like part way, like
Oh,
the
we
blood
did.
pressure cuff that I can't use.
Yeah.
I will be able to when somebody figures it out for me. And then I found this piece of paper and I have a reading machine that looks like a little, Xerox thing, except you put the paper or the part of a book or whatever you want it to read on this glass, push a button, and it looks at it and then it turns it into speech and reads it. So I can basically read most of our mail, most of the stuff like your handout. Oh yeah, people say, "I'll write it really neat with my pen." No. How about if I print it with my pen? No. I'll do it neat. I'm sure you will. And not red or green. So it won't read money. Try that too.
So we do absentee ballots.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do absentee ballots.
We have a wonderful person to help us do that.
Oh, we laugh about the secrecy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to encourage them to wait until our maps, forum, to hear about the maps candidates.
Yeah.
Listen to them.
Oh, yeah, it'll be.
Any other questions?
I guess, so I'm trying to think about this. I'm Sandy and I do
Okay.
the voter guide.
Okay.
And, so if you had a voter guide, you could take a picture of part of it and it would read it to you. Is that the machine that you were just talking about?
It'd be like a newspaper.
Yeah.
That would be difficult.
That would.
Sometimes it does columns really good and sometimes it doesn't. And it says it can do newspapers, but it's only so big.
Yeah.
And so then you have to fold it and then you have to figure out, I love it because I can read my mail every day. But, you try to read a recipe guide or something, directions that come with something. Remember about a toaster oven once? Oh good, I'll just read these directions. Oops, that must be the Spanish side. It takes a lot longer. But by golly, I get it done. Usually. So then, the other day I found this piece of paper and I thought, oh, this one piece of paper. Good, I can read this. I'll figure out this blood pressure thing. No, it was the invoice, but I just, I knew it was the invoice. But the directions, I think, are pretty glossy and there's probably pictures. And it won't do that either. It won't describe a picture. Although, my iPhone, when you send me hearts on your text message, it tells me what it is.
I live it.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly, as you can see, they have a great sense of humor. You can't laugh at yourself and the way things happen in life. Wow.
I had a friend once who said, "You are always so happy. I don't get it." I said, "I got a choice. I can be happy and I can go about my life because God gave me this challenge, so figure it out. Or I can sit in my rocker and play my radio and whine. Because what do you think? more fun. And like I said, I had brothers that never said, you can't. My oldest brother, I was about 12, he was all about taking me on a hike. We lived in Isham, right? Suicide Hill, right? It was summer. So, my brother said, "We're gonna go for a hike?" Yeah. He drove, I said, "Where are we going?" He ain't telling you. He just got out of the Marines, so he thought it was pretty cool. So, get out of the car, and he got behind me, and he put his hands on my shoulders, and I thought, never does this, what? Okay, walk. Oh, this is the steepest I said. Oh, I don't know where we are, but I ain't doing this. He said, well, you know, everybody talks about Suicide Hill, and you don't know how high it is. You're gonna find out right now. You're gonna walk up it. I said, I'm not doing this. He said, I am bigger and I am older. March. So I went up there, and then and I don't know, I recently asked him, how did you do that? He said, I don't remember. He climbed up on the scaffold, so he could talk to me from way up there. So I kind of have an idea of how far up he went. I said, how'd you get down? I don't remember.
I took her over to our new playground.
Yes.
Oh.
She showed me everything, it was cool.
It's cool. Yeah, I go there every day and watch the kids. Just listening to them scream and cry and laugh and have such a good time. It's cool.
My other brother would take me fishing a lot. And I was an adult before I understood from his wife. She said, you ruined every date we ever had because your brother didn't want you to be home alone, so he'd take you on our date. You were about 7 or 8, so I was only 15, though I wasn't fun. She says, but to watch your brother with you was pretty cool. I'd fish, and he'd say, well, your line is tangled, give me your pole. So pretty soon he'd give it back to me, and by golly, I'd have a fish, and I'd be so excited, I love that fish. And she said, because he had the fish on his line, he'd put it on your hook. And before we lost him, I talked to him one day, I said, why did you do that? He said, because it was so hard at home, and you were never home. And I just wanted to see you smile. I had trouble with great big brothers. Not that they didn't tease me. When I fell out of the swing, my brother Dick said, you were supposed to hold on, dummy. Then he picked me up and carried me home.
So I'm surprised that nobody has asked the question about counting steps.
Oh, we don't do
A
that.
lot of people ask, oh, you got steps, I said, I can only count the 6 and I get lost. And then you turn around like, I can't do that.
But in your head, don't you in your head?
No.
I
I
know,
do
okay,
landmarks.
how many steps are going up our stairs from our first floor, do you know?
7.
There is not, there's 14.
Let's see what they do. So, I
And
go
there's
by,
13
I
going
go
down the
by,
basement.
I go by dips on the floor, things like that. Anybody here remember a TV show called Long Street?
I don't even remember.
The blind detective. Boy, that was so weird. He could just do it. Oh, I hear that about it. Yeah, right.
Are there any more questions?
Anything.
Other than thank you.
I feel pretty privileged if you are the only guy with all these women. I'm very honored to do that.
Here's a couple more guys.
I know. I know.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you all for coming. We do need to be out of here by 8:30 because they'll lock the doors. Good to see